World Barista Championship began in the year 2000, and it was due to the Scandinavians, primarily Norway and Iceland and Denmark had just a few individuals who thought it would be a really cool thing to get baristas really excited about their work, because coffee culture in Scandinavia has been much more advanced than the US in the past, to have a competition. And so Norway had its first barista competition. In 2000, they had the very first World Barista Championship in Monte Carlo. And I can't remember how many countries were represented there, but you know, nothing like it is now. And yeah, that's how it got started. Anyone who was there at in those early ones would tell you that it's just a whole different beast now. It's grown, well, the first thing you notice is that it's grown to include so many more countries, and every year there are more new countries that come on the scene. This year, one of the most exciting countries to be coming is Iran. It's this enterprising group of baristas who started their own guild in Tehran, and they, you know, got enough momentum going to have their first national championship and have a competitor who actually just got his visa approved like days ago here to compete. So that's super exciting. It's always really great to see the producing countries sending their baristas to compete. Scandinavia did used to dominate in terms of wins. I think Denmark still holds the record for having the most champions, which is 4. But they haven't been as much. Now it's been Japan and the US and the UK really coming up strong. Australia's super strong. So in that way it's changed, but you'll see all different skill levels on stage at the WBC, but what's amazingly cool is that they are all bringing something from their own country here and their own culture, and it's a pretty remarkable thing to see. Being a WBC champion has been a career-making distinction, and that's going back to the very beginning. I mean, the guy who won the very first WBC is Robert Thoresen, who owns one of the most well-regarded, well-respected roasteries in the world in Norway called Kaffa. And that's not changing. It still is considered like the ultimate title that you can win. People have asked us at Barista Magazine if we'll ever have a Barista of the Year competition, and no. I mean, the World Barista Championship is that. Well, it's important to remember that even though the World Barista Championship is now in its 16th year, it's still pretty small in the coffee world. I mean, it doesn't have the reach to all the baristas down there working at Starbucks in Kansas City, Missouri that you would think. It's still a very small world. Within that world, it's enormous, but it is still small. But that said, a lot of the people who own and operate the most successful and well-respected cafes in the US and the world are very much aware of it and do follow those trends. Some of those would be something as simple as water service with an espresso shot. Others would be using multiple grinders and offering single origins in your cafe. But then I think the biggest one would be holding service to such a high level and expecting that baristas be consummate professionals. It's really an amazing thing to watch, especially when you know that this person has already achieved national status in their own country's coffee community. There's so much life on stage. These baristas are bringing their passion. They're bringing the best coffees that they can possibly get their hands on. They're bringing their imaginations. They're bringing every single part of themselves to stage, and also taking the role of ambassador to their own country very, very seriously. So when they're competing on a national level, they're competing for Joe's Roasting Company. But here they're competing for all of Greece or all of Ethiopia. And that's a really amazing thing to see. You can't just have a competition in your country and show up here at the WBC. You have to have followed strict protocol about the way that your competition was conducted in your own country. You have to have a member of the World Barista Championship certifying committee attend your competition and make sure that it's all being run fairly and efficiently and to the benefit of the baristas, because that is the underlying goal, is that this is all about supporting baristas and pushing coffee quality. And so, and I appreciate that there are these strict guidelines, because it means that everyone who's here takes it seriously, knows what they're doing, they're showing up prepared. With a country like Iran, and I just talked to some people today who said they're going to have Saudi Arabia's first competition this fall. What these countries bring to the stage is an awareness for everyone in the audience and the tens of thousands of people who are watching the live feed at home that coffee is so much bigger than what it is in just your shop or just your town. And when you're working as a day-to-day barista, it's pretty important and awesome to find out that your work is that big of a deal and that important, and that can inspire you long enough to make a career out of this.